Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Miles Beyond the Page. I'm your host, Michelle Miles, and each week I chat with authors about their journeys, the wins, the struggles, and everything in between. So grab your favorite drink and let's go beyond the page together. Today, I'm really excited to host author Isis Chandler. Hi, Isis. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you write.
Well, my first debut novel is a young adult romance, and I wrote it because I was so shy in high school that that time in my life kind of feels unfinished, and I struggled with that for many years. And I decided that instead of feeling sad, I was kind of like Ali Sheedy in The Breakfast Club, weirdo, freak in the corner, drawing, no friends, And I think that a lot of people who go through adolescence like that do feel like they miss out later
Yeah.
in life when they reflect on it. And so I was just inspired. Okay, I'm going to go back and write about that time. And then when you write about it, you really put yourself in the character and you remember, wait a minute, there's bullies and social pressures and like youth today have like smartphones and
Yeah.
digital technology for bullying and all these horrible things that we didn't have to worry about. And so that's why I was like looking back, it's not that great. Like all ages have their challenges. And
Right.
so it kind of helped me stop looking at the past with rose colored glasses.
Yeah, exactly. And I love your cat.
Oh yeah, thank you. He just thought of that. Do you want me to
That's
get
totally fine.
you?
Totally fine. We love the pets on the podcast. So tell us a little bit about, all right, so you told us why you wrote it, but I'm looking at my notes and you wrote a YA romance with a lot of intergenerational family drama. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Oh yes. Well, I am 100% estranged from my own biological family. And they just to put a long story short, my uncle is a psychopath who is friends with Puff Daddy's mentor, Clive Davis.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's how toxic it is. And my family operated like a cult. It was like, we don't question that anything is wrong. The things that like I endured as a child, it's a miracle. They don't call it multiple personality anymore, but disassociate, that type of level. It was just really bad. And then, it was emotional neglect. It was, physical abuse. It was abuse with food, not providing a good diet. I mean, you can go to my YouTube channel and, I got the whole story to tell there. And yeah, it was just, but then I looked at like my father-in-law, my husband's father, his
Mm,
mother had borderline personality disorder. And her mother, there was intergenerational trauma in my husband's family too. And my husband's father made a conscious decision. I'm gonna stop. I'm not putting on to my son. I'm going to therapy. He became a counselor. I have so much respect for my found
yeah.
family and my father-in-law because it was like he's gonna stop the cycle as opposed to what my mom did was just support and pretend everything was fine. And in my book, the mother, the main character's mother, has done no contact with her abusive father,
Mm.
but it's still like day to day, like the childhood trauma that the mother experienced affects her relationship with her sister and the way she approaches the world and how overprotective she is. And, there's monsters everywhere. And she doesn't realize that she's putting that anxiety on her daughter because of her experience. So, yes, very, very much based upon my own personal trauma.
Yeah, so was that something when you wrote that, was it hard for you to write, or did you feel like it was something that was kind of therapeutic at the same time?
Well, it's kind of removed because it's like when I started writing this, I had been estranged from my own family for 5 years. And so it was kind of like my character, my main character, she's not in the thick of it with the abuse. Her mother was. So it's kind of like I feel like part of me like reincarnated when I got rid of my family and I became somebody else. And it's like I feel kind of far from the abuse. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Mhm.
doesn't affect my day-to-day life. People who are living with the daily trauma and, the toxins that get released in your system as a result from dealing with the insanity, that's not part of my life anymore. So I wrote it as kind of like it's kind of in the background, it's affecting the
Mm.
mother and it's spilling onto the daughter, but it's not overtly in your space.
Yeah.
The book I wrote before, it was about living with someone, living with a narcissist. And so
Mhm.
this one, it was a little bit more removed, but my male lead is also, he estranged from his toxic
Mhm.
family. And so that's one of the things that the two main characters bond over is, the family
Right.
trauma and how they
Right.
understand each other in ways that other people don't because they both decided to leave that.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds really interesting. And I'm reading my notes and choosing to go no contact with the toxic family is the theme of your book. So, talk to us a little bit about well, you did talk a little bit about that, but why it's a healthy choice. I have that in my notes here.
Yeah, our society is so conditioned to, if you're estranged from your family, to, oh, you gotta work it out. This is family, it's your family. And that is so wrong. We like to make these blanket statements that
Mhm.
everyone who's estranged needs to heal and go back. And I had a lot of friends who also estranged from their family, who they had coworkers who were around Thanksgiving time, but like pressure. They don't know anything about you, your background, what kind of abuse you endured, and the judgment that people who walk away sometimes get. You know, family estrangement saved my life. I said to
Yeah.
my husband, if I stayed in that family, it was going to kill me. My
Mm.
mom got cancer and died young. And I think that's why, it was just like the constant toxicity you know, when you fully leave an abusive situation, that is always a good thing. And I think most people don't understand that family estrangement is often about saving yourself and saving your own life from an abusive situation.
Yeah, and it's a brave step. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
that's incredible. So, I wanna talk a little bit about the book itself now, and you put a love scene in your novel. It's a YA. And I know that there is a lot of YA novels that depict it, differently. So talk to us a little bit about what your decision making was on that and how you dealt with it in your book.
Well, I think our society shames young adults for having sexual impulses. Like my mother in law, I love her, but my God, she is Victorian. We were watching a scene with a young boy who was about 15 years old getting the talk. He
Mm.
said, "He should get this in 15 years." And me and my husband looked at her and we were like, "When he's 30?" I think I think I think a lot of the older generations have always shamed younger generations into not thinking about sex or being curious about sex. And I think
Right.
that causes a lot more harm than good. I think there should be more of an open conversation. I don't think teenagers should be shamed for their curiosity.
Mhm.
I wanted my character to be 18 before they had it, but it was just the point in the story where I could not keep them apart anymore and have them realistically get back together. If I kept until she was 18, I was like, it has to happen now. There's
Yeah.
no other, I can't stretch this out. It was like silly putty. You're pulling it, trying to make and
Mm.
I thought, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice what's politically correct to go with what feels natural in the story. At the point where they do have sex in the story, they've been through a lot together and they've bonded a lot, and her family trusts him and they know they're going to be safe.
Mm.
And she's a couple months away from adulthood. So I don't think teenagers should necessarily have sex. I think they should wait until they're older. But if they are going to have it, wait until you're at least, almost an adult using protection and with someone you completely trust 100%.
Right. Right. And
So,
I think you have to handle that correctly too in a YA novel like that, especially you make sure it's consensual and all of that.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read it, so I can't speak to that, but it sounds like you've handled it correctly. And that's very delicate in those types of books.
It is, and I also think that one other thing I wanted to say about that is our society is so accepting of violence, but we're so squeamish towards sex. Like, why is it okay for children to watch cartoons with characters like Looney Tune characters and Tom and Jerry, like beating the hell out of each other, blowing each other up, you know, but teenagers reading about consensual sex, that's so taboo.
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that you did that, and I think that's a bold choice. And good for you for doing that
Yes.
too.
I think
That's great. So, the other thing I wanna talk to you about is, you're indie, so you publish this yourself, and we all as indie authors, we know what a undertaking that is. But let's talk about your publishing journey for a little bit, and you had a bad experience with a small press.
oh, yes. Yes. The good thing that came out of it is my friend Lauren, author Lauren Courtney, I met her through this publisher. we were both pressured. We were all pressured to go to a symposium in California. We had to pay for our own flight and hotel, but we were all pressured to go under the guise,
Mhm.
if you don't go, we're not going to make your book a priority through the publisher. We were getting that. So we flew out to California, and then I met with Lauren, and there were so many red flags. And just to make a long story short, this woman who's running the publishing company, we suspect, we suspect that she's using it as a front business
Mm.
for other illegal activity because she would not give us release dates. She would not give us any information about what our pre-order time was. I got a week of pre-order time. I couldn't do book trailers. I couldn't do any like online marketing because you can't if you don't have your release date.
Right.
Then the ebooks came out. She would not make them available in paperback. She would not give us any information about when they'd be paperback. She ignored emails, phone calls, text messages. She just went MIA. It was horrible. I felt like someone kidnapped my child. Like your book
Yeah.
is like your child. It was like someone kidnapped someone I love, but then the law was on her side because she had been a lawyer and she wrote these contracts.
Oh gosh.
And afterwards we had a contract lawyer look at it, someone who specializes in publishing contracts specifically. And he said, I would never have a writer sign this. This is terrible. And I had a regular lawyer look at it. So my advice to young authors, if you're thinking about signing with the independent press, do everything I did. I did everything right, but I didn't do enough of the right stuff. Like I checked the Better Business Bureau. There was
Yeah.
no red flags. I went online and made sure they had a website and they had like authors on the website, books on Amazon that they had published. I did all of that, but that is not enough. You can't just have your friend who knows a lawyer who does wills or whatever the law they practice. You need a lawyer that specializes in publishing contracts.
Yes.
And if anyone's interested, I'll be happy to share that information with you. One that I could recommend. We'll charge you an hourly rate for a few $100s to go through it. It is so worth it because the headaches and I mean, we were getting sick. Lauren and I had all sorts of physical problems with the stress of the situation. It was
God, I can
horrible.
imagine. Yeah.
And it's so worth it just to have a lawyer that really understands publishing and the publishing business go over it. And so, make a long story short, she dropped all of us on the same day. Thank God we all got our books back. And then we had to start it from scratch. And
Yeah.
she added some of these slang to it and she would revise our stories. And she added like my characters. It takes place in 2023. She had my characters speaking 70s slang
Oh
because
my.
she's older and she thought that that's how teenagers talked. It was all sorts of things like that. I had palette because my character's an artist. And I
Uh-huh.
had artist palette spelled correctly, and she changed it to palette like a construction equipment slab. I mean,
Wow.
I had it spelled correctly, and she changed it so it was incorrect. All these things. I mean, it was just a nightmare. So I will never sign with a publisher again. Not unless, my lawyer looks at the contracts and knows this is definitely worth your time. And yeah, it's hard being indie. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Yes.
know me. It's you know, I struggle, Lauren struggles, my husband, he's an also independent author. It's hard to get eyes on your books.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really it's especially when you're starting out and, like, Lauren and I have each other, like, if we have a bad day or somebody gives us like I got a Goodreads review the other day. It was like, I was in a bad mood, not the book's fault. I couldn't get into it because I was in a bad mood. 2 stars.
Mm. You never know
You
about
know?
those. Yeah. But, you make a good point, though. There are so many predatory type of publishers, scammers, whatever out there that are just wanting to take authors' money. And I think you really have to do your homework even when you do all of the right things, like you said, sometimes, things happen. So I think that's a great
Yep.
point to make sure that if you're doing this for the first time and you're looking for a publisher, you really just have to dive deep. Ask around, ask writers groups, ask people on, groups on Facebook or
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah. And it's sad that authors are taken, because we work really hard for our creative works, right?
True. And no, it's a lot of work. I mean, go on Writers Beware
Yeah.
and scroll through how many scams there are. It's
So
really
many.
disheartening. And, this independent author that I love on YouTube, Bethany, I can't remember, as Zadok, she wrote the Stolen Kingdom series. If you want to find her, I liked her first book. I love her YouTube channel. Her YouTube channels look really, really great for indie authors and giving advice. said, I don't want to be traditionally published because even if you get with a big publisher, okay, you get into Random House, they can do things like they can say, we're going to wait a year to publish your book because we have
Yeah.
another book that's similar. And they make you wait 12 months before you can even get your book out there. And of course, you're not making any money at that time. They can do things like, insist that the cover you don't want, that's what they're going with.
Mhm.
Like after this experience, I don't want anybody making decisions about my book. I want total control because this experience was so bad. I'm just like, no, unless my lawyer looks at this contract and says that this is going to advance your career in a huge way, I'm
Yeah.
not signing with anyone else.
Well, and that is the thing about being an indie author. You do have total control from everything and you have all of the rights. So I think that's one of the things I like about it the most too, is just I know from the creative process from start to finish, it's all me. Except I don't know my own covers. I don't do that. I hire a cover artist for that. Let's talk about your writing journey a little bit. So what inspired you to start writing initially?
Now, originally, I was the visual artist, and my husband was he was the writer. And then we
Mhm.
met.
Mm.
Those were our passions. I was always drawing and painting. I had my own online business at one point where I had my own scrapbook store. And so, yeah, I was the visual, working with my hands, drawing, painting. He was the artist. I mean, he was the writer. But the thing is, it's like being married to him. He has a master's in creative writing. We're watching stories. We agreed that Lord of the Rings was like the best movie ever made the night we met, and we
I
high-fived
agree.
over that. Yeah.
High vibes.
That's our poster up there. It's
I
our
love it.
Rings poster.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Uh, we're doing a review of it for my YouTube channel, so I'm like really focused on it right
Oh,
now. But yeah, I've got our wings
I
necklace.
have that necklace
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
I do. I
Yeah, we're
have that
doing a
necklace
review
too.
of it for our YouTube channel. She's like my favorite. So anyway, we met, we were passionate about stories. We started watching movies together, and being married to him has been like free writing school because we watch stories, we watch movies, and then we always talk about why it could have been better, why this character's arc didn't fully succeed, why this line should have been moved to this other part in the story. And I've always been like that. I remember when I was a kid, one of my friends warned another one of my friends not to go to the movies with me because I would like after the movie ended, if I wasn't satisfied, I would be talking 5 hours after the movie ended about why it wasn't great, and even as a kid, I was like that. And, it was just like I started, like, loving stories and talking about stories, and then one day I told my husband, like, "I have to tell you something." He said, "What?" It was like, "What? You had a bury of $50,000 in credit card? What?" Like, I was like, "I'm writing stories too." I didn't wanna tell you yet because I was like, "Oh, thank God. Great." Me and all of it make it better. He's completely supportive. Always been supportive. And so now, I mean, I put a lot of credit to this towards him because he helped me edit it. And all my male leads have, personality traits of my husband in them. And then now we're writing a story together. We're writing he's fantasy and I'm romance. So we're writing a romantasy together and having a really good
Nice.
time with that. You know,
That's fun. I love that.
it really is. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really nice too because like I also run like the YouTube channels, and
Yeah.
so there's days where I can't write. I can't do it because I'm editing videos.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we have a schedule where I'm editing the YouTube videos, and when I'm doing that, he's writing the story, and then I upload, and then he gives it back to me. And so yeah, it's really nice having a writing partner that you
Like you
trust.
guys, and it sounds like you guys have a great system too. So that's really cool. I love that. How fun that you bonded over Lord of the Rings.
I know that was it. Yeah, the first day we met.
I love it. I love it. There's so many
That was
great
it.
stories about that too. I love those movies. I just had a rewatch of the extended version of Fellowship of the Ring. And this is not about Lord of the Rings, I know, but I love those movies.
No,
And The Hunt for Gollum is coming. So
I know. I know. I'm
yeah.
not I'm not excited about any of the new stuff. I mean, after The Hobbit was disappointing and then Rings of Power
Yeah.
was just atrocious.
The
And
yeah. There's only one reason why I like the Hobbit movies, and it's because of Thranduil.
because it's
Legolas's
well,
daddy. That's the only reason I watch it. That and for Killy, the dwarf. That's it.
oh wow.
Yeah, I'm shallow. What can I say? All right, let's see. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. All right, so your genre. So you're writing YA romance, but how did you decide on that genre? Was that just a conscious pick, or did it kind of just find you?
So that time in my life feels unfinished.
Yeah.
And I'm just really drawn to that young adult, new adult time in my life. I don't feel compelled to write about like characters my own age. I don't know. I think it's a way of healing the past trauma,
Mm,
like that time,
yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm always going to write, like 16 to 25,
Right.
but that's what I'm drawn to. And so, yeah, I do contemporary, our world, modern times. And then I
Yeah.
also like to do fantasy. I'm like a fantasy geek. I have to write fantasy too.
Yeah. Love it.
I'll be running the fantasy stuff probably with my husband and then more contemporary YA
Yeah.
on my own.
Nice. I'm a big fantasy fan too, so I'm with you. Let's talk about your writing process. So, what does a typical writing routine look like? You did talk about it a little bit about what you're doing now, but do you guys plot your books together or do you just kind of wing it?
Oh God. I could never wing a book I was writing with someone else. I think we'd kill each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
when I outline, I'm just a very systematic, planny kind of a person. Like when I cook
Mm.
Thanksgiving dinner, I've got like charts of like what goes in the oven when and what comes out. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm very, very structured person. And so I can't just wing it because I find if I wing it, I end up deleting half what I write.
Yeah.
I need to know what the point of the story is, where the characters are going to go. And so when I'm writing with my husband, we diligently stick to the outline. And then if any changes have to be made to the outline, we go over it together and decide what to cut out. For example, I mean, we were writing and I was going over the outline and there was so much left and I was reading through it. I was like, wait a minute, we already kind of did this in another scene. And so we can cut this out and move this around. And so my writing teacher gave me great advice. He was like, when you're drawing a picture, I'm sorry, my art teacher in high school gave me great advice. He said, when you're drawing a picture or painting a picture or sculpting or doing anything, if you get this control freak, like this is my creation and I'm working on it, it's not going to come out good. You always take a moment, step back, look at it from across the room, get
Hmm.
a drink of water,
Hmm.
then go back, see what it's communicating to you as you're creating it. Because if you
Hmm.
try to force it, it's like a friendship where one person's trying to control the whole dynamic. It doesn't work,
Yeah.
doesn't flow. And so I approach writing the same way. I outline religiously, but, if something, as I'm creating the story, if it like something I put in the outline doesn't work anymore, I get rid of it or I move it or I change it. As long as the character arc is as long as like the character ends up and has the same emotional journey
Right.
at the end, I'm okay with being flexible with the outline for like the major character arcs and plot points and resolution and bullying action plot. As long as that all ends,
Yeah.
all the other details in the outline, I'm open to being flexible. Yeah, I am very much an outliner, but I'm also a flexible outliner. And
Well,
I'm more flexible when I write by myself. When I write with someone else, like me and we would kill each other if we were just like, we know exactly what's going to happen. And,
that's
that's
great.
why
I
it's working.
admire that. I don't plot. I mean, I know the high level, right? I know basically what my characters are doing, but for the most part, I just sit there and kind of let it happen on the page. So the fact that you can outline is amazing. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that.
Oh,
So I admire that.
thank you. Yeah, I get excited. Like, I get excited. Like, I know the first kiss is coming up
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
outline,
No.
and I see it like 4 pages or 4 bullet points away, and I'm like, I get really
Gotta get there.
really excited to get to the kiss or the love scene or the epic final battle or,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever,
That's the
get
best,
excited for the
like,
good.
when you know you're riding towards that climax or whatever, it's so fun to get there. So do you have any tools or techniques that you use in your writing to either help you plot or to help you overcome writer's block?
I haven't had writer's block yet. I was very lucky. It's weird because when I was growing up in my family, they would criticize everything,
Mhm,
the way I
mm,
walked, the way I talked, the way I breathed, the way I ate. But the one thing they never got was my creativity, like the way I would draw and paint and do things like that. And I've always like my creativity, I've always been so passionate about it. Right now, I'm like hating and resenting my day job and that I can't just write and do YouTube full time. So I have so many like ideas
man,
of
I
like
feel
things I
that.
want to create or and and I haven't struck with writer's block yet. If I come back on your channel in a few years, ask me again.
I
Right now,
will.
not gonna. As of right now, I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with that. I actually have the opposite problem. I have so much creative ideas that I want to get to and
Yeah.
not enough time.
God, I
Um,
know. I know how that feels too.
so what, so that was one part of the question. What was the other
Let's
part?
see. Tools or techniques that you use with to help you with your writing, your plotting.
Oh, just, like I said, the outline was really helpful. Sitting down, knowing exactly like how many pages I want to accomplish today,
Mhm.
being structured with it. I think you have to treat it like a job or it'll
Yeah.
never get done. If you treat it like
Right.
something you could just get to. And like, for example, yesterday we had a flat tire and I had to go grocery shopping and there was all these things that were like getting in the way. And I got home and the bed wasn't made and there was dishes in the sink. And I was like, I don't care. I'm writing. I just my process is just take that moment where I do not care what's going on in the world. I'm writing right now. This is the time I
Yeah.
said the dishes are going to have to wait because if you don't make it a priority, it won't get.
Right. I
Yeah.
think for me, the routine really helps. So, like, I have 2 times a day that I write, and that really helps make that, that's the time you're gonna sit down and write, and that really helps keep,
Mhm.
that
Yes,
commitment going to yourself. I love that.
exactly.
That's great.
And then also music.
Oh,
I have a whole soundtrack that I put together for my book of all
yeah.
songs that my character would listen to. That I put a Spotify playlist together, and so there would be days when I would be cleaning the house. You know what I mean? And I couldn't be writing, but I'd be listening to the playlist I created for my book. And as I'm cleaning, the music is helping me envision the scene that I'm going to write tomorrow. And I'll
Yeah.
stop and jot down notes and then go back to cleaning. And I was like, during our Lord of the Rings review that we just filmed, I was talking with Lauren because she was in the video with me and my husband and her. She was talking about she loves the Lord of the Rings soundtrack because it helps her visualize her stories and like the epic
Yeah.
moments, that she's writing. And so, yeah, music is a really incredible tool, I think, for
Yeah,
writing. It really helps me.
I think I would agree with you because I love listening to soundtracks while I'm
Mhm.
writing too. Yeah. All right. So being indie published, we're responsible for everything. The marketing, the everything, finding our readers. So, what do you think is do you have any strategies for finding and reaching new readers?
Reach out to someone with an awesome podcast and hope they have you on as a guest. That's been helpful. I've been lucky enough to get on yours, and I was on another one a couple of weeks ago. I think to me, it feels like the best way because when you have an honest conversation, feel like people resonate with what you say.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's so much more effective than just like an Amazon ad. I've tried everything. I've done Amazon ads. I did a book bub new release for less than I got. It's easier to get the book bub new release for less
Yeah,
feature deal.
it
And so I
is.
did that. I did a Goodreads giveaway. And so when the book first came out, it had pretty good sales. Because of the Goodreads giveaway, people who didn't win bought it. And then also because of like the book bub new release for less. I've been highly disappointed by all the other email sites like the Fussy Librarian, like Written Word Media, all the sites like BookBub that are easier to get featured on
Mhm.
that don't put you through the process. So that's been disappointing. Amazon ads have been disappointing. It's just, you know, what I'll do is I make promos and all the time and post them on social media because
Yeah,
that's free.
right.
Lauren gives me great ideas. She'll be like, okay, do a first blast and favorite line of the character, or, dude, this is really trending right now on TikTok or this type of ad. I go to her Instagram a lot and you pick a lot of inspiration. And it helps having her to call over what type of ads, social media posts
Yeah,
to make because it's like everything costs money. And there's so many people who reach out and go, oh, you can be on my podcast or I'll read your book
yeah,
in a review, but you have to pay me. And I avoid those like the plague.
yeah, they're scams.
That's like paying someone to eat lunch with you in school.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really your friend.
Yeah, I mean, once you're published and then the scammers come and they want you to pay for their book clubs, it's just I think I get 2 or 3 a day. It's crazy. So one of my questions was how important do you think social media is? And it sounds like that is something that's really important to you, posting, and do you think that helps you with your visibility?
Yes, no. I think it works, but it's like a slow build. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I had a lot of people who were like, just like follow a whole bunch of people so they follow you back. And I don't think that works because then they're not really interested in your work.
Right.
I think it's best to post stuff, hope someone new sees it and follows you and gets interested in your work and to
Yeah.
slowly build it up. I really think collaborating with other authors has been really wonderful. Like Lauren and I, she's on our YouTube channel now, and so we'll do a book review every month. We'll do a romance novel, and then
Nice.
we clip it and we post it on her Instagram and my Instagram or both of our TikToks, and so that her followers, hopefully coming
Mhm.
over and subscribing to the channel and following. So collaborations, I think, is the best
Yeah.
way to build like interest. Look at they're interested in that author that you're friends with.
Mhm.
That to me, I don't know. I think people are really craving authenticity
Yeah.
after, years of, people keeping up with the Frankensteins. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
No,
was
I
like,
think you're right. Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
being like so popular and like these rich people who can afford every type of procedure on their
Sure.
faces and bodies and everything about them is polished. And, I think people are craving authenticity now. And, it's hard as an indie author. So I mean, I'm just trying to like connect with people and make friends and be as authentic as possible. And hopefully people will, hear what I have to say and family estrangement or, you
Yeah.
know, teen years that were not satisfying and want to relate to, my
Yeah.
story.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think the part of the being putting yourself out there on social media is being authentic to your true, not necessarily your true self, but maybe your true writing self. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
share personal details. Try not to on social media, but yeah, I think you nailed it. Yeah. Authenticity is for sure where authors can find their readers. Sorry.
Sorry, it's I'm just like knowing the different types of social media and how to use it too. YouTube is great for like book and movie and TV show reviews. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like people show up just for that. YouTube is not a good place to like for any of the author to post about their book. You know what I mean? That works better on YouTube, on Instagram and TikTok. So
Hmm.
it's just like trying to figure out each one is kind of exhausting in on itself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
having, Lauren and other friends who can give you having a group of friends that like know one is really good on one platform. Like YouTube is mine, Lauren's is Instagram. She kills it on Instagram. And so yeah, that collaboration of having other people that can help you figure out these apps that change every day.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So we're getting close to the end of our time, but can you talk to us a little bit about, one piece of advice you wish you'd known earlier in your writing journey?
Oh, wow. I know that's kind of difficult because I started my writing journey. I was already middle aged. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of pieces of advice that I would give to my younger self in general. But with my writing journey, being married to my husband who has a master's in creative writing and just like slowly easing myself into it, like I dipped my toe in the water,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then slowly started splashing around. Man, I don't know. That's hard, I guess. Just, just if you're a creative person, don't get so bogged down that this is my niche, this is my genre. This is, if you're a musician and you want to try painting, go for it. If you're an artist and you want to try writing, go for it. I think that would be my advice that I would give to my younger self. I was so afraid to try because that was my husband's
Hmm.
forte. It wasn't mine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
we get these little boxes that we put ourselves in. So yeah, that would be my advice. If you're a creative person and you draw and you want to try playing the piano, go for it.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And then any advice for someone who is starting out?
Well, in terms of writing, starting
Yes.
out,
Hmm.
stick to the plot structure. Understand, you know, rising action, climax, falling action,
Yeah.
resolution. Understand like all the basic, conflicts: man versus hero, man versus self, man versus society. Figure out all the different conflicts. Go with the basics starting out. Use the basic plot structure. Figure out your basic conflict, figure out what genre you want to write. Because my first book, oh, this is another one. I just wrote whatever I wanted to the first time. And I didn't think about how it would fit in when you're writing. See, I'm answering the question now because I went back and I thought about it. Know what genre you're writing. So when you're done, you know how to market it. I wrote
Yes.
a young adult YA, know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of writing, know your plot structure, know your conflicts, know research character arcs and just stick with the foundations. Later on, then you can break them after you get experience. But that would be my advice: would be stick to the foundations. And then in terms of starting out marketing, there's so many YouTube channels of indie authors who share
Mhm.
step by step of what to do.
Yes, there is.
Bethany oh God, Adazaka. I'm butchering her last name. I love her YouTube channel. It's been so helpful helping me launch my first novel.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah, good
you
advice.
know, like,
I'll check it out. I'll see if I can find it. And if I can, I'll link it in the show notes for
okay,
everybody to
awesome.
find her. Yeah. And then finally, tell us where we can find you online and buy your book.
Oh, okay. Well, my handle is Isis Chandler, author, and my book is available wherever books are sold. There's a universal book link that you
Yes.
can access on any of my social medias. I'm on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube are like the three that I focus on. My YouTube channel was just Isis Chandler, but that was about like leaving a family estrangement and now that I've been away from the narcissist for 6 years, I'm just not as into talking about that anymore. And
Yeah.
so I'm really focused on our YouTube channel is called Sci-Fi for Fantasy Fans, and it's me and my husband who started it together. And we've recently brought in my best friend, author Writingcommunity, to be a regular. So we're doing, we focus on sci-fi and romance and fantasy. And we're doing a review of Outlander. We just filmed Lord of the Rings. We're passionate writers who passionately talk about stories. And then when something disappoints me, like Stranger Things last season, I have to do like 20 videos complaining about why I'm mad. I'm just really, really passionate about it. So yeah, that's Ernest. Yeah, I author. Let me make sure I give you the right handle. I want to say it correctly. Bear with me.
I think I have
I don't. I should
that
have
link. Yeah, and I can put that in the
here.
show notes too.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. Instagram. Yeah, it's Isis Chandler, author.
Nice. All right. I will make sure I
Yeah.
have that in the show notes for everyone to click on and find you and follow you and I'll have the link to your book that people can buy online. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
This was great. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that people will be able to find you and pick up your book.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. I had so much fun.
Yeah, me too. And a big thanks to Isis Chandler for joining us and sharing her incredible journey and all of her insights. Be sure to pick up her book, What Draws Us Apart. And thank you always for hanging out with us. If you like this episode, don't forget to comment and subscribe. Miles Beyond the Page is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep writing, and I'll see you miles beyond the page.
Thanks for joining me on Miles Beyond the Page. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. If you're an author and want to be a guest, visit milesbeyondthepage.com and fill out the guest intake form to apply. Keep writing, keep dreaming, and I'll see you next time.